The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
All right, good morning, good morning. It's been a while, everybody, so check it out. Good morning, this is Attorney Clint Paris, and we're live on In Touch News Radio, where reality comes to you. Listen, it has been a while since we sat down and talked. You know, I've just been, because as you all understand, this is my therapy session, weekly. I come in here and you all sit and we talk, and it is truly my therapy session. And I leave here, I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to go back out and do it for another week. So I am very, very excited this morning. I'm a little backed up, because I hadn't been here in a couple of weeks, and I just appreciate people who've stepped in. Tony Seabrook sat in for me, as well as I think Ed and Rain came in, and DJ CEO Darryl Johnson as well. So just want to thank them for holding down the fort for Pete and I while we get ourselves into our summer rhythm. So I am just glad to be here this morning and just share with you some thoughts that are on my mind. And Pete's going to be joining us in a little bit by phone. But let me start out by saying this. I'm always, we take this thing that we take this feeling that things always just existed, but they didn't. Somebody created and started almost everything that there is in existence. We talk about things like the Civil Rights Movement. Well, somebody started that. NAACP, somebody started that. The concept of democracy, somebody started that. This country, somebody started that. And last night in the city of Tampa, where I'm located, I know we're a national, international show all over the airwaves, wherever the internet may take you. And let me take a quick moment to say, if you're listening on the In Touch News website, intouchnews.com, you can also watch this show live on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Touch News, boom. Guess what you'll see? A face made for radio. So there are a lot of ways for you to experience and share in the program. So I encourage everyone to take a moment, go to the page. But listen, last night in the city of Tampa, and I'm saying this about Tampa because this could be any city, anywhere where things are starting to happen. Last night in the city of Tampa, there was an event called the State of Black Tampa. Now, I got excited when I heard about this event because the last public conversation that was in the city of Tampa about the black community, and notice I'm not talking about diversity, inclusion, or any of those other what I call watered down concepts. The State of Black Tampa, that conversation was held in Tampa, and it was put together by a very interesting young man by the name of Gary Hartsfield. He fashioned himself as what we call a serial entrepreneur. I like to say he is just a continuous creator because he creates jobs, businesses, he's engaged in public service. But the entity that they're using for this is called the Refinery. And actually, if you go to their website, it says the Refinery, a social exchange. And they were putting on an event that was titled the State of Black Tampa. This is the flyer from that event last night. And I just want to say the first thing is the impetus for having that conversation, the foresight and understanding of the necessity to have that conversation. There are some very powerful people in little pockets all over every community, and they're fighting to make a change. In Touch News fits into one of those categories. You know, when you take over a country, two things you do first. The first two things. You take over the airports, okay, anybody come or go without checking in, and you take over media. Because media is so powerful, and it is even more powerful when it's free and allowed to let ideas flow without any type of censorship. And I know that scares some people, but I want to hear what you think about what we agree on as well as what we do not agree on. That's why I love the idea of straight up the middle, having that Republican opposition. It's not my fault they can't keep up. I'm, hey, you get in the ring, everybody throw your blows, and whoever walks out walks out. But this refinery, put together by Gary Hartsfield, was a very, very powerful event. I'm going to take just a few more minutes, and I want to talk about this event because wherever you are, whatever community you're in, we may be, I would love to see other communities sit down and just talk. Bring in some of the community leaders, elected officials, business leaders, people off the street, wherever they may be in their station in your community, and have a conversation about, well, what's really going down, and what are some things that we need to join up and grow. Let me talk to you real quick about kind of how the structure of the event was, in case you're thinking, hey, maybe we should do something like this. The event was set up in very much like a seminar format with various panels. And then on the panels, they had various leaders in those industries come forward and talk. It opened with a gentleman that's really profound by the name of Roland Daniels, who spent about 10 minutes talking about something that we take for granted, social capital. And social capital is really the investment and that you have made in building and creating relationships that you can then leverage into manifesting the things that you feel are important. It may be economic, it may be social, it may be charitable, it may be political, but it's the idea of how do you put social capital into your personal bank or savings account to pull out later. When I first started as a lawyer said to me, listen, you're going to give away way more legal advice than you will ever be paid for. You're going to give away, meaning you're just going to give people legal advice because they need legal advice and you're able to do it. Then you will ever get paid for. And I've never forgotten that. And I tell young lawyers when they come in and say, hey, how do I build my practice? I say, go out and start giving away your legal services. That's social capital. We do it in a lot of ways. When we listen to our friends who are in dire situations, when we make a recommendation for somebody's child that just graduated college, when you stop and help somebody with a flat tire on the side of the road. I mean, for those of y'all who still have have tires in your car that, well, go ahead. So what I'm saying is social capital is your investment in others. You can put that in your pocket because guess what? You come back later and you can use that capital to leverage. So Roland Daniels did a great presentation about understanding social capital and building it, because oftentimes people try to make a withdrawal from the social asset bank and they've not put anything in. And they wonder why no one will help, no one will get involved, no one will support what they're doing. So last night was it started out with that concept, DJ CEO, social cap, which is something people I think take for granted, and others really understand and they are able to leverage it really, really well. And then let me stop back up for a minute. First of all, this event was held at the Hyatt Hotel in Ybor City. A very upscale, very swank place. I'd say 50% of the people, DJ CEO, had never been inside that facility. They'd never seen it, and they were shocked how well it's done up. I mean, it's so that set the stage, I think, for the event. The dress code was very, very, very chic, and not formal. But listen, let people know you came to be somewhere, and that you might be somebody. It was that kind of a feel to it. Jazz being played as the room was set up, and hors d'oeuvres being passed, and a couple of drink tickets for attendees were given out, and it's just a nice setup with all the ambiance you would expect from a gentleman of Gary Hartfield's ilk. The brother's hands are always manicured. I've never seen shake his hand and then see they were clearly just buffed and shined. But being that, so that set the stage for something significant in your mind, though. I would say it was a very connected, informed, and maybe even educated. A little bit of money floating around in the room. You could see it. There was a little cash floating around in there. So that's the setup of this event. the MC for the event. I mean, he brings in, Michael Clayton, and there's room on the street that I have an issue with light-skinned brothers. I do not have an issue with light-skinned brothers, tall, broad shoulders, and curly hair. I don't have an issue with those kind of brothers. So they throw Michael Clayton up on the stage, who is a friend of the station and the program, and ex former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. They bring in his doctor wife, Tina, she could double as a model or a doctor. I mean, Tina is just, she walks in the room and everybody needs to stop for a minute and thank her for letting us look at her. I mean, she's just a beautiful lady. And the crazy part, Daryl, she is a more beautiful person inside. Just really, really well grounded. I've known her since she was a teenager. Her and her mom and Samantha, my wife, they went to graduate school together. So real long connection there. So they throw Michael Clayton on the stage. He's strutting around, and poor Gary's trying to compete with him, and he really, he did the best he could. But the dress contest, I want to say they didn't announce it last night. Best dress did go to Michael Clayton. The brother looked sharp, and he has media credentials, so Daryl, he can command the stage and an audience. And what permeates out of Michael Clayton really quickly is the brother's a devout Christian. It's gonna come out. And not the kind of amening that you get from some folks, but you can see it. It is his walk. And so Michael Clayton is the MC and host for the event. So we just got top notch class act, and a tight script. They went with, and panelists they brought in numerous doctorates and business owners, and they did 3 panels really. I thought they were focusing in. I've got the flyer right here. The first one was wealth and empowerment. Wealth and empowerment. Now they didn't use the word rich and money. They used wealth and empowerment because wealth, embodies power. You can be rich and have no power. You could be poor and have tons of power, like Mother Teresa. She was very wealthy in the sense of what she could accomplish and make happen. So that was the first panel they did. They did another panel on civic empowerment and leadership. Now I thought that panel was gonna blow the roof off, because there are people that work really close with some of the issues affecting our community on the street. They had leadership from the NAACP. They brought in again another friend of our show, Robin Lockett from Florida Rising, to come in and talk about the impact of voter registration and civic engagement, and talk about how you fight with your government to manifest the things that you want in your community. And then they threw us a curveball. They had a fireside chat. And the fireside chat was along the lines of LGBTQ issues. And they brought up a panel of people to talk about their life experiences, because one of the things we've not done well in the black community is figure out a way to maintain, we're doing better, to include those people in our families, not force them out, and to understand that they love just like we love. They live, they have the same kind of desires that we have for themselves and their children. And I was really touched by the fact that they were courageous enough to put that front and center in the black community. We want to shake our heads and turn our backs and pretend like it's not happening. And they did a great job. And they called it a fireside chat, and it was really a nice little 15-minute break. And then they finished off with the last panel they had was on health and wellness. Mental health is ravaging America right now. And I just would say the general stress of being an American, white, black, Native American, wherever you may, the general stress of being an American seems to be overwhelming all populations everywhere you go. And people are having strokes. So they brought up some great panel. That's the one where Dr. Tina Clayton, she participated in that one, as well as Dr. Kevin Sneed. And let me just say, Kappas were all over the program, everywhere you looked. We could have called the meeting to order, and there were so many Kappas present, which made me proud. At the top level. And so this event, though, I just wanted to open the show and talk about this event, which is the State of Black Tampa, because I want, wherever you are, whatever community you're in, gather up some people, open it to the public. Let them come in and sit down and be brave enough to let different ideas mix together in this salad of a community we have, and see if that will lead you to attacking some of the problems that are affecting us. We talk about problems on this show all the time, and I wanted to just say I was just moved that this event focused on the solutions. All right, y'all. So we getting this thing, getting this plane off the ground. When we come back, we'll see if I can get my man Pete that was on the phone, and we're gonna talk about some of this. Hey, did somebody say they saw Kamala? I don't know. All right, we'll be back. In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this message.
St. Petersburg, Florida, get ready. DAT Entertainment LLC presents A Night to Remember, Saturday, June the 4th at 7 p.m. at the Florida National Guard Armory, 3601 38th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33711. And this will be a show you won't forget, featuring the Manhattans with Gerald Austin.
I had to meet you here today. Told the fellas I'm not going out tonight.
Award-winning comedian Chris the Mayor Thomas.
I saw this little white girl the other day. She said, "You have some big lips. I wish I had lips like yours." I said, "Bitch, hold still."
And R&B soul singer A. Renee.
At the casino. Let's go back to the way things used to be.
Advanced admission $60. Door price is $75. VIP $90. And this is a BYOB affair. You can also reserve tickets now at Eventbrite. For ticket information, contact JT the Dancing DJ at 813-412-0435. And for more info, call 727-486-3702. DAT Entertainment LLC presents A Night to Remember, Saturday, June the 4th with a Manhattan featuring Gerald Austin.
You've been injured. You deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
All right, we're back live on Intech Radio. Reality radio, where everybody can be a star again. My name is Clinton Paris, and you're listening to Straight Up the Middle. I try really, really hard, everybody, to keep this thing. I try to be down the middle. I really do, and to help me do that, we have a juxtapose my opinions with those of Pete Edwards on the Republican perspective. I think Pete will soon be a socialist when I finish with him. On the left of Bernie Sanders somewhere, but let's let that play out. We're trying to get Pete on the phone this morning. We have some technical difficulties, and he's been a little under the weather. So I'm going to keep the conversation going until we get to him. And if not, hey, if you're listening out there and want to call in, the number is 813-444-9588. The call-in number, 813-444-9588. Listen, so if you're watching me on Facebook, you may see my eyes move around, okay? In Touch News is always moving the needle. And so they had to bring an idea to add multiple cameras in here. And so if you see my head wobbling around, that's me trying to do my best impression of Anderson Cooper on CNN and catch the live camera that I'm supposed to be looking at to give you all a visual video perspective of how we do things here at In Touch Radio. So anyway, so I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks, and while I've been gone, there have been a number of things that have happened that really got my goat. And I'm going to jump out of order on one of them. It is this proliferation of shootings, mass shootings, what they say. And I think of mass shootings where the shooting involves, I think it's more than 5 people somewhere. It's a low number. It's not 30 or 40. But if there are 5 people involved, I think that is considered, from the CDC, they categorize it as a mass shooting, so to speak. But it seems like we've had a rash of them. Particularly, we had the shooting in Buffalo, African-American attended grocery store, people attacked on a racial basis. We had the young man out in Texas who went into the elementary school and shot that up. We had the gentleman in Tulsa the other day go into the hospital and shoot it up. Let me play psychologist or therapist. Most people like to share emotions. Y'all walk with me on this. When somebody's happy, guess what they want to do? They like to share that happiness. They want to share the good news. They want you to be involved in the goodness that is happening to them. The other thing that has been found out with abusers and people that hurt people is when they're hurting, they want others to hurt too. And if you drill down into a lot of these public acts of violence, so to speak, or even private acts of violence, they're connected to a simple concept. Watch me out, DJ CEO. Somebody write the article, write the paper. Just give me credit for the concept because I'm going to share it with everybody right now. These shootings come down to people hurting themselves, and they want others to hurt too. They want to share their emotions, their pain, just like they want to share their excitement. So when we think about the shooting in Buffalo, that gentleman was hurting. And he decided, I'm hurting, I'm going to go hurt other people. And so he does. He goes and hurts other people. The young man in Texas, he was hurting. He had a difficult life already at such a young age. And listen, most people think I've got it together. The only person that used to tell me, boy, you need to get yourself together, my mama. If you don't get it together, no matter what I was doing, it just seemed like she would always come in and couple head, what the heck you doing? Straighten that up. You better get that right. Get it together. High school, graduating high school and ending high school, going to adulthood, it's very scary. And particularly if you don't have a plan or resources. Or you're watching all your age peers move on in life. The excitement of it. We recently, I have a couple of kids that I just recall at my daughter's high school graduation event at our house. And I just remember there were like 4 other young ladies there who just graduated high school. And all I could think is looking in their faces, they were so happy that they had something happening to go forward in. That young man in Texas, he dropped out of high school, had family issues, he's hurting. And the readily availability of guns allows him to now go hurt others. The gentleman in Tulsa, my understanding is he has some medical issues, has some back pain. And they had surgery and some efforts to try to get rid of that pain. And it just didn't work. He was in pain. So we need to think about people's pain that they're feeling and how we in our individual walks can touch that pain. In traffic, is it really that big of a deal to let somebody cut in front of you? Do we really need to pull over to the side of the road and everybody get out the car with their crowbars and guns and we settle it right then and there? Is it really necessary that you thought the teacher said something a little too strong to your kid that you go to the school and you're going to turn it all, it's all going to be turned out? Is it really necessary when you're at the store shopping that the cashier laid your money on the counter and didn't put it in your hand? Is that become a capital offense that now everybody's going to hurt because you are hurting in that moment? So we have to figure out ways that we can avoid creating more hurt and pain. We got to do something about guns. Australia, I think it's may have been 99 or somewhere in there. They imposed a significant gun restriction, bought back tons of guns at market value, got people to turn in their guns, and a byproduct, DJ CEO, surprisingly was not a necessary direct drop in crime and murder, but a staggering drop in suicides. They were the thing that they didn't realize was the readily available ability to get guns was one of the things that was leading to people committing suicide in that moment. Now, you may not be like me, but boy, I got a temper on me, and when it goes off, I don't see anything. And the best thing you can do is leave me alone. Get me to the woods, drop me off, and leave me out there for a few hours. I'll knock down some trees and tear up some roots and stuff. But if you leave me where I can reach a wall, there might be a hole in it when I finish. But when my temper goes off, that is not the time that's not a good time to try to talk some reasoning to me. The best thing is get away from me, lock the doors, put me out back somewhere, and I'll work it out with nature. And so we have to do something though where the ability to cause so much damage is not so. These people aren't. I don't think they're not suffering from mental illness. I don't think that's what they're suffering from. I think these people, a lot of these people, are in pain, and I think that we have to think of ways that we can address that pain so that they're able to, I think, process those moments. And if they do that, I think we can get a lot further along than we can as we are now using, trying to harden schools. You're not going to stop killers by just putting a person out front that's a target for the person to shoot and go inside and do what they want to do. That's one. Something else Governor Abbott said that I thought was very, very interesting during his press conference. And he said this, and then I don't like the trying to shift the focus, but he said more people were killed last weekend in Chicago than were killed in Texas by this mass shooter. And there doesn't seem to be an outroar, an outcry. And we can use Chicago, but there are a number of cities that have a long history of gun violence daily, and it's connected, I think, to the prevalence of so many guns. Will it take us, a little bit of time to get rid of the guns and to bring the violence? Yeah, but we gotta enact. So now we get to, well, who's going to be the ones to do that? Is it going to be state legislatures? Is it going to be the federal government? And the federal government, it seems to have been bought and paid for with this gun lobby money and the concept of weakness if you do anything about guns. Right. So we have a call now? All right, let's try this out. We're trying to work this out technically. Let's go ahead and try to bring this caller in. DJ CEO, go ahead and bring the caller in. Caller, good morning. You're on Straight Up the Middle with Clinton Paris. What's your name? Where you calling from? I'm sorry, caller. I couldn't hear you. We're gonna try that again. Give us a few minutes and bring us back. So one of the things that I was really working on over the last week or two is trying to think, how do we attack this gun issue? Here's one of the concepts of it. Fear. So we've created this fear of others. And I'm going to just blame the Republicans heavily for this, but we fight. We do it too. In the Democratic side, we try to make every Republican a racist, evil, wicked, racist, and that's not true. And likewise on their side, they try to make everyone out to be. You need to be afraid of these marauding crowds of people coming to do all these crazy things, and you need to have a gun when they show up. That's a sad state of affairs. But I can tell you this for certain. America is no different than most other developed countries around the world, and they don't have these mass shootings. They don't have these shootings where infinite number of people get killed regularly in these copycat formats. And we're not talking about even the number of these things that are prevented with social media. The other one is social media. There should be a mechanism on every social media platform where as soon as a gunshot goes off, the sound of a gunshot, the social media video should shut off. There should be no ability to broadcast a mass shooting as some of these individuals have done. Now, you say, well, they can't do that. Yeah, they can. I'm going to tell you how they can do it. In most communities, wherever you are, your police department has cameras that respond to gunshots. They hear a gunshot and the camera comes on. This is already technology that's in existence. So I don't know that there's a necessity that we have to have new technology. It's already available. But social media has to get involved because remember the hurt. These people are broadcasting this so others hurt too. And when we see these events play out on social media, what do? We go off, we're hurting, and now they've achieved their goal. But I know that we've got to do something. In the African-American community, we got to get serious too. I'm on various committees, and people come in and talk about they lost a son or a daughter or some incident of shooting in their community. Well, we know who the shooters are. We know who these people are. And we have to create a culture where that's not how conflicts are resolved. If we in fact truly want to bring that problem under control, we've got to attack it at its source. And right now, everybody's kind of sitting back, kind of numb, yelling, we need to do something, but nobody's actually doing something. For example, in your community, you don't need permission to have a gun buyback program. Your local community can offer to buy back guns if people will bring them in. You can give crime amnesty. You can say, listen, if you turn in a gun, you turn in the gun, and it's associated with the crime, you get amnesty because you turned the gun in. So some of the things people are afraid of is, hey, I don't know where this gun really came from, and I don't want to go turn this gun in, and now this gun is traced to a crime, and then I'm held accountable for the crime.
So will there be gun legislation?
Not in the nature that we think. You're going to get gun legislation, I think, because I think everybody knows they need to be able to go to the public and say, we did something. But it won't be to the level that I think makes a difference. For example, what I would love to see is the age to buy guns go to 21. I would love to see that go to 21. You got to be 21 years old if you want to buy your gun. I don't care what kind of gun.
Is that likely?
Probably not. Not just yet, but I think we can get. The second one is, okay, you can't buy a gun. Move the age to buy ammunition to 21. You can have a gun, you just can't buy, you can't go get the bullets to go in it. Somebody 21 has to go get the bullets. The other one is this. I think there should be gun ownership liability required. If you own a gun, you must carry insurance for the gun liability, because most liability insurance excludes guns. You do something with the gun. That's another factor that I think would be, it's kind of like when you register your car. You know why you got to have car insurance? Because it's very likely that car is going to hit somebody else. And when you do, you need to have insurance. So I would love to see that. But the political environment, because we're going into 2012, I think, DJ CEO, you're going to get some legislation, but it may not be the kind of legislation that moves the needle, but it'll be something that everybody can say, hey, we did something. All right, everybody, listen. Just that quick, we're at the midway point. DJ CEO is giving me the break sign, so we're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I want somebody to post something, show me a picture when the last time you saw Kamala Harris, because she's in witness protection. In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this message.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
All right, we're back live. News Radio, reality radio, everybody can be a star. Listen, so I have got the benefit of really just letting this backlog of thoughts that have been just really bothering me flow out. We just touched on the gun issues with shootings, and hopefully we get some legislation that comes through. But one of the things that's bothering me, I thought we could have gotten more DJ CEO out of Obama when he was in office. He was not nearly as daring as I thought he could do. I know we were more concerned about the backlash from political issues, but I thought he could have pushed the needle. So now we have Kamala Harris as the vice president. And the window is a narrow window when newly elected people come in office. It's a very, very narrow window. And so you have to take action quickly. For example, you may not like the stuff DeSantis does. People may not like our governor, DeSantis. But guess what? He is moving the needle in the areas that are significant to him and his constituents. I mean, wherever that is, he's not waiting around and hopefully get some legislation and maybe they'll pass something. He's putting it out there. And Joe Biden could do a lot more with executive orders. He could do a lot more with executive orders than he's doing.
Why hasn't he?
He's too much of a consensus builder. Let me just paint this out. Joe Biden spent his career inside of Congress in a group. He's struggling to be outside the group now. When you're outside the group, you guys got to go do what you got to do. You can't try to wait for the group and kind of everybody come along, and if you agree with me, let's go. It's one of the things that people liked about Donald Trump. He actually, if you said he was in a group, he said, I'm not in a group. No, I'm not with those guys. I'm over here, and I dare you not to come with me is what he would say, even now.
But was his executive orders effective?
For the things that were important for him, yes. The Muslim ban, yeah. There are a number of things he did that the one regarding the fence at the border. Those are executive orders. He took military money to start building that wall down in Texas. But they were in that regard. But what it signals is I am trying to get something done. I'm doing what I can do. I'm not waiting on those guys to come along and say, okay. Matter of fact, I know these guys are against me. Those guys were against him. I mean, there's never been a more outsider president than Donald Trump. Just think about it. The Republicans were, every Republican that was in that party when he first showed up was like, this guy's a kook. He has no values. He's all these horrible things. Joe Biden's problem is he's too busy waiting for other people to say, yes, I agree. Let's go do that. When in fact, what he needs to say is, I'm going to go do that. And if you don't go along with me, I'm going to get rid of you. And he's not done that. So what his guy left is he's standing around waiting for everybody to come say, okay, yeah, we'll go in that direction with you.
So should he have gotten rid of the Attorney General?
Merrick Garland is a weak Attorney General. There's no doubt about it. You need a bulldog. You need somebody that really almost an alpha male type dominant personality. There are a number of positions in his administration I can't name. I'm in politics. I can't name. And as far as Merrick Garland, when was the last time we saw him? He's not on the forefront of. I would have put indictments on everybody that didn't respond to a subpoena, and the next week we'd be having a trial. As a matter of fact, I might go try the case.
So is Merrick Garland too much of the status quo?
He comes from, I think, a position that I think he's over his head. I really believe Merrick Garland, you needed someone in that position. He'd been a federal judge for too long. Federal judges take what comes to them. They show up at work on Monday morning, and the cases come to them.
So he would have been right for the Supreme Court.
Perfect for the Supreme Court.
But not to run the country.
No, you need somebody, as Attorney General, you need a bulldog, somebody that takes your agenda and takes the law and shoves it forward. And everybody around Joe Biden is too easygoing.
So would Kamala Harris have been a better Attorney General than a Vice President?
I think so. She has experience in that area, but my concern with Kamala is I just think the moment is too big for her. And so she hasn't figured out how to make the moment into something other than what it is. That I would put her in another place, but you really need forward-leaning personalities. You need people that
I think that's Kamala Harris calling.
wait. Kamala Harris, I want you to post a picture on Facebook. I want you to send a message. I want somebody to tell me they know where she is, because guess what? I have been unable to find her because I got a few things I want to say.
That's actually a good idea. Everybody needs to post a picture of Kamala Harris. Where are you?
Yes. Now, look. All right. Now, let's talk about something real quickly for the last few minutes we got. That's a little more touching in people's lives, and that's what's happening with our economy. I mean, we just got some real issues here that I think need to be dealt with, because there are more issues coming that don't have a quick fix. Listen. So, Ukraine supplies food to a large part of the world. A large part of the world. We right now should be ramping up our farmers growing. We should be going to all our farmers, giving them seed, giving them whatever they need to plant, to grow food. Because in about 4, 5, 6 months, we're going to be in a dire situation where the world is in need of food, and that's going to influence what's happening in Ukraine in the war. You got inflation on the rise. What is inflation? It's just the price of whatever you want to go buy. And anything, I like going to get wings, right? They've cut my wing order down. It went from 10 to 8. Now my wing order is 6 wings, which is probably better for my health. But that's a reflection of inflation. I like to make my own guacamole. Listen,
but the price is the same.
The price is the same. But I'm getting less wings. Everybody knows I like Daryl to make my own guacamole. I mean, I do it while we talk. You know, Samantha will have guests over. Hey, excuse me, y'all want something to eat? I'll whip out some avocados. While we're talking, I'm cutting them up. I'm making my avocado, cutting the onions, everything. Y'all mix it, lime juice in there, shave fresh garlic. I mean, it's just really, I make a good guacamole. And little dash of salt, just a little bit, not a lot though, flatten it out. But my avocados, I went to buy avocados. I'm used to getting $3, $4. It was $1.39 each. So you know what I did? I bought one avocado. I bought one avocado, went home and made, and I was hoping my wife didn't ask for none. I was hoping my daughter didn't ask for none. You know, and I made it look really ugly too. Hey, y'all want some of this? Because I really didn't want to share. But this is what prices are starting to do. I'm going out to play golf this afternoon. We're carpooling. I can't remember the last time we all said, hey, we parking these cars and everybody jump in together. We're going to ride this 20 minutes in one car and ride back. Inflation is starting to really impact the way people live. Gas prices, I mentioned gas prices are up. Every week we hit a new high number for gas prices. And for people don't think about this, I have employees that commute. And so I have, at my job, my office, I've had to agree to remote work to cut the gas price down because the gas price is such a significant component. Mortgage rates are going up. I think they said the average rate today was 5.03%. It's on the increase. And the two things that got my attention the most, DJ CEO, is this. Elon Musk talked about cutting Tesla employees by 10%. Now, most companies won't announce that until they've done that, which says to me he may not be trying to do that really. What he's trying to do is scare off some people. So you don't know who the 10% is going to be. I'm not going to get caught up in that. I'm going to go ahead and get me another job somewhere else so I don't get caught in this cut. This cut. A lot of companies will do that to scare some people off, scare some people in early retirement, and then they see what they've got left. Well, we don't need to cut 10% anymore. Yeah, we need to cut 2%, and nobody gets an announcement that that's happening. And the other one that got my attention was Amazon. Amazon predicting a downturn in deliveries. Those two things really, really caught. I've been trying to say that the stock market, I thought that was being manipulated in connection with the war and the uncertainty. But I'm not worried about this economy. And it's hanging around Joe Biden's neck.
I think Elon Musk is trying to see just how he can manipulate the economy with just his words. He's done that with cryptocurrency.
Yes.
And I think he just wants to, this was an opportunity for him to say something and see how the economy reacts, because he'll use it again in 2 or 3 years. And as far as who was the other person you just talked about?
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. Amazon as well. Now, the only reason that there's going to be a downturn in packages is because people can't afford to buy anything. So that's a given. But Elon Musk, I think he wants to see how much power he has.
Well, he's realized that there is a huge value in being what we call a cult of personality. Let's say Hugh Hefner. He's a cult of personality. And then he made his fortune monetizing that personality, turning it into something he could profit from. Donald Trump is the same thing. And there are a lot of people in business that cross over into that in a weird way. And I think Elon Musk has realized, hey, nobody else is really on the forefront driving this. You had a little bit of that with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in their heyday. And I just think Elon Musk right now is just filling that gap. And I'm going to tell y'all something, what I really want to do. I want to buy DJC or a red light to put over his cameras, so I know which camera I'm supposed to be looking at. I'm trying to make sure I'm looking in the right camera. I got 2 eyes. And in a minute, they're going to be crossed up here. But we're like I said early in the show, we're progressing here at In Touch News. But I think that's what Elon Musk is capitalizing on. He realizes people will go buy my products to be associated with me. They'll buy my stock. They won't care what the value of the stock is. You know what they want to be? Associated with me. And I'm going to give you an example. Here in Tampa, maybe in other places, probably around 2002, 2003, Donald Trump flew his helicopter in town, and he landed on a piece of dirt right by the Hillsborough River. And he said, I am building Trump Tower on this spot. Give me your $100,000, and I'll be back in touch. To reserve your unit. And people raced down there and did it. And he never came back. He never came back. It never got built, and they all lost their money investing in Tampa's Trump Tower. Never came back. In fact, he sued one of the developers on top of all the other stuff. I just say that. So Elon Musk is building a cult of personality and enjoying that spotlight it brings. There's some other folks. I think the owner of the Dallas Mavericks is in that, Mark Cuban. He's another one of those type of people that's realized I can monetize my person. And so Elon Musk now is realizing, guess what? If he can do what he's doing with Twitter, just imagine what other entities and companies out there are terrified because they have no idea, whoa, when is he going to show up at our door? Well, listen, I told y'all I had a lot to get off my chest, and I'm just warming up. I'm about a third through what I need to do, and I got 15 minutes to get the rest out. So we're going to take this final break. When we come back, got a couple more things I want to share before the end of the show. In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
St. Petersburg, Florida, get ready. DAT Entertainment LLC presents A Night to Remember, Saturday, June the 4th at 7 p.m. at the Florida National Guard Armory, 3601 38th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33711. And this will be a show you won't forget, featuring the Manhattans with Gerald Austin.
I had to meet you here today.
Told the fellas I'm not going out tonight.
Award-winning comedian Chris the Mayor
I
Thomas.
saw this little white girl the other day. She said, "You have some big lips. I wish I had lips like yours." I said, "Bitch, hold still."
And R&B soul singer A. Renee.
Gotta sleep with one eye open. It's at the casino. Let's go back to the way things used to be.
Advance admission $60. Door price is $75. VIP $90. And this is a BYOB affair. You can also reserve tickets now at Eventbrite. For ticket information, contact JT the Dancing DJ at 813-412-0435. And for more info, call 727-486-3702. DAT Entertainment LLC presents A Night to Remember Saturday, June the 4th with a Manhattan featuring Gerald Austin.
All right, we're back live on Intouch News Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. And I apologize. You know, I could. My wife is probably at home right now saying, "He is talking too loud and too fast again." There's so much I want to get out in this little hour that we have. I just, you know, I sometimes get overwhelmed. And let me just, the last segment we have, I want to talk about the opportunity for us to celebrate Juneteenth. DJ CEO, I grew up not knowing almost anything about Juneteenth. Zero, really. And in fact, you know, I'm from the South. I was born in Georgia, came to school down here. There has never really been, I think, a freedom of empowerment about black history in the South because it makes white people feel so bad. It makes them feel really, really bad. I'm going to give you a good example. We had dogs as kids. Dogs stayed outside and were tied to a tree. My son looked at me like I stabbed somebody when I told him, you know, our old dog stayed outside. He was tied to a tree. And he just like, how could you do that? How could you tie a dog to a tree? How could you leave him out there in the rain and cold and the bugs and I don't, what kind of person would do that to a dog? I said, well, the same person that's got the dog sleeping in the bed with him now. I'm the same guy, right? So I think, you know, that feeling though, and Juneteenth is a moment of empowerment. And for some people, so you have to remember, you know, the only reason you have Juneteenth is you had slavery. I think America could look at Juneteenth as one of its greatest moments. The moment that it reaffirmed, really, it came to grips with what it was intended in the Constitution, that everybody be free. But the fear is you'll be reminded that you were descendant and benefited from slave ownership and servitude. And so I think that's for some people to not be able to celebrate it because what are they celebrating? I'm celebrating my freedom. What are they celebrating?
So do you think they'll feel like they may be un-American celebrating freedom on the 19th of June versus 4th of July?
Well, 4th of July is easy to celebrate because it celebrates something against England.
Oh, point taken.
Right. So Juneteenth, it's actually us and us. It's us and us. You know.
Now that it's an official holiday, will it grow to the level of 4th of July in our community?
I don't think that. I do not think it will be that. One, you have a commercialization around the 4th of July that drives itself. That's one.
You don't think we're going to commercialize this holiday?
You'll need the people that control the commercial industries to do that. You'll need Disney World to have a Juneteenth vacation special. You'll need the NBA to have a Juneteenth tournament. You'll need greater entities to take that up, universities and the struggle for them really is, from a cultural standpoint, they have to remind themselves there was slavery. I think the economics of it are there. What do you do for Juneteenth? What is it? You know, and that's a struggle really was happening with Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day doesn't have the economic impact of some of the other holidays. Memorial Day, why? Because it's not a day that people travel and spend money. It's a day that people reflect on the fight for civil rights and service to others.
So did Joe Biden waste his political capital with this Juneteenth holiday versus pushing voters' rights.
No, because there was nothing else really for him to do. This was easier to do than the voting rights piece. The voting rights piece requires a lot more savvy manipulation, and I think he didn't have the ground team in place, because when you change voting rights, it trickles down to every community. I remember working at companies where they didn't celebrate in Martin Luther King Day. It was a holiday. We're working, and you're gonna have companies that they're gonna work on Juneteenth. Some companies now don't even give days like Memorial Day. They fight over it, but it's because Memorial Day though it's kind of like the kickoff to the summer. It's a big money maker. So until the economic impact of Juneteenth kicks in, I don't think it's going to spread, because right now it is reminding people of this is the last day of slavery. And you think, well, wait a minute. We're only really talking about the people out in Texas.
It's almost counterintuitive with critical race theory.
Absolutely. But this gives your pushback for critical race theory. Why? Because now, see, this is interesting. You mentioned that, and I was going in a whole other direction from my last few minutes, but you just got me, DJ. That's okay. But this critical race theory and what the backlash is in response to Juneteenth. Because there are places in white America, they don't want their kids to know about slavery and how they benefited from slavery. They want to pretend like that's a non-issue, not worth discussing. Juneteenth now is a federal holiday. You can't get away from it. But Juneteenth though leads into things like I opened the show, DJ, talking about this event in Tampa, the State of Black Tampa, and the challenge to all communities to do an assessment of yourself. Look at your community. That's what it was. So, but Juneteenth feeds back into the ability to empower something like this. This State of Black Tampa could easily be connected to a Juneteenth celebration, where around the country, communities gather to talk about how things are affecting them currently, from the past, and where do we go in the future. And then they need to look at it. This is a model. I really encourage everyone to go to
every city should have that.
Yes.
And perhaps, like you said, connected to a Juneteenth celebration.
Right. It's a part where you look at it, it's almost like a health checkup. But because this event was so powerful, because they had in this event, they had leadership from Hillsborough County, from public finance, and they talked about, one of the key things they talked about in the health and wellness was the necessity for the transition of wealth. See, we have baby boomers who are going to be transferring, I think, $256 trillion in the next 5 to 7 years as they die off to their heirs. 256. Only, I think, 24 trillion in the black community. And I think he said that, I'm sorry, that's not right. $24,000 is the average amount that the black family transfers at the time someone dies. The white family is about $156,000. Now, $24,000, Daryl. Most of us, from what I've been seeing in my probate work, we spend about 18 on the funeral. So that leaves about 12 grand left. Now, my first thought is, black folks, stop putting your money in the ground. Stop putting your money in the ground. I see other communities bring in their funeral bill as $1,800, because what they had was a cremation and there was a small memorial at the funeral home. That's what they had. The money didn't go for 4 Cadillacs. I was at the funeral the other week. A horse-drawn carriage came rolling up, white, gorgeous. It looked spectacular. Just amazing what something like that costs for a funeral, to bring a casket and drop it in the ground. And I was at one of our cemeteries, so I know they really couldn't. They were in the back corner too.
I can tell you, I spent a lot of money on my son's funeral.
And you needed that. It was. But guess what you were spending? You spent your own money, right? That's different. You follow me? That's an absolute different issue. When it's an estate, you don't wipe out the estate to bury someone. You spent your money to move your own self through this process, that's absolutely the dynamic of what you may need in that moment. But when we're talking about our seniors and folks at a different space, there's no need for that. Their life speaks for them. They've lived a full, blown out life that speaks for them. So one of the things that they talked about in health and wellness in the wealth portion was dealing with generational wealth, how you kind of need to set up a plan to pass that along. How do you educate your kids? One of the recommendations came out was you at a young age should have a credit card with your child. You and your child have a credit card together so that you're involved in their credit handling and decision purchases. And so it becomes easier for you then to assist them in their growing that financial literacy. On the other components of the presentation dealt with the civil servant action. One of the things they said is, look, almost every child needs a trip down to City Hall. They need to know where City Hall is. They need to know also they can go talk at City Hall. Why? So that when they're adults, it's not something foreign to them. That they're it's not this unknown dynamic. And we were talking earlier, there were some citizens in the 70 plus years old who'd never been down to City Hall. Now I know in our community there was a time for fear of that, but they talked about voter registration, actually turning up to vote, and how about this, Daryl? Supporting or demanding things from people who you did not vote for or who are out of your area, like the entire city council. Not just the person in your district, but all of the people should be demanded. And then, of course, the last thing that they really, really focused on in this state of Black Tampa, and I talked about it earlier, was the issue of mental health. We need to get into a process where mental health, and they brought in the Dean of Pharmacy from the University of South Florida, Dr. Kevin Sneed. I mentioned that Dr. Tina Clayton was on the panel. And I think it was a Dr. Shamir Robertson, I think that's his name, was the other doctor that was on the panel talking about how they as doctors, how to identify mental health issues in their regular practice and try to get those people over to therapy so that treatment gets started sooner than later. I would say this as it relates to this conversation, though, in the state of Black Tampa, they treated this as an introduction, and that there will be more conversations of this ilk going forward. So listen, everybody, as always, Saturday morning is a great moment. I'm excited when I get up in the morning. I was sitting outside waiting for the sun to come up as the rain was falling, thinking I could race down here and get me a nice chunk of meat. But Pete, we missed you today. We'll get you back in here real soon, or get you back online. No matter where you are, my people in South Florida, be safe. I know the weather's rolling in as we roll in the summer. And, of course, listen, we're kicking off Juneteenth. Check out the most recent version of In Touch News. Go to the In Touch News website. Check out the activities for Juneteenth. And wherever you are located, make sure you make it a moment of celebration. Get you some funky Juneteenth outfit. I've ordered me a Juneteenth flag that I'm going to be flying at my house for the neighbors to come out and ask what that is. And I just want everybody to get out, have a great day today, be safe, but most of all, be impactful. This is In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll see you back here again next week.